I tapped into like that little girl within myself being like, I would have really liked to read a book about being Asian. Like, oh, but nobody in my class would know what I'm talking about. I don't know how comfortable I feel about writing these books because there's a part of me that doesn't feel like Asian enough.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Highest Version Podcast. I'm your host, Randy Philvong, and on this podcast, we talk about falling in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Today's guest is Connie Ong, rave babe by night, creator by day. She's the owner of her own art shop called Connie OMG, where she has the cutest of animals on stickers and postcards doing the most silliest things, and you guys really just gotta check out her channel. It's so cute. Along her art journey, she's also is the author of her own children's book called Vivi's New Year, which pays homage to her Asian American heritage. So let's welcome Connie. Hey.
Hi.
How are you doing? Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. It was really great to be here.
Yeah, what's crazy is that I asked you to come on the podcast at a rave concert.
Dude, I remember that.
And I was like, do you want to come on?
And it was like, yeah, no, that sounds so great.
What a setting to like even match that. But I felt like, knowing about your art journey and just like your personality is just so like, infectious, like the energy. And so I think you would be great to just, dive in, and even offline things and conversations. Like there's a lot more to you that I want to know.
Oh my gosh, you're setting me up for such success. I'm kind of nervous.
No, you got this. You got this.
Thank you.
So before we get into anything, I'm going to get into the Funko Pop of the episode, and that is Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And the reason why I picked Aang is because Aang's a very optimistic character, but he's also creative in a sense of being silly, which I feel like is something that you embody, you do really well, and you just have fun with life. So that's why I feel like I made the connection in that sense.
Oh my gosh, that's so sweet. And I love Aang. Avatar, the best thing ever. I actually just saw the orchestra concert recently in Lowell. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. So this is really nice.
So do you actually resonate with like Aang as a character, or like the Air Nation? Like, have you taken the quiz of like, which nation that you embody?
I think I have, and I think I got water, but personally I do kind of resonate with Aang in the sense that he, especially in the beginning of the series, he was a very like carefree, kind of has this childhood whimsy to him, and I'm like, damn, I think I've seen that before in the mirror. So I'm kind of like really into being compared to Aang.
Nice. What's crazy is that when I tell people what nation I resonate with, they like kind of find it surprising.
Oh, really?
So when I took the quiz, I actually embodied the Fire Nation.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm like, really, me? But when it comes to like passion and like drive, like my fire is like, it's like I'm going at it like super like hard, and I'm grinding at I work real hard to get what I want. Sure. So I can see that, and honestly, like at first I was like upset about it, but then I'm like, Zuko has probably one of the best like I don't know what the saying is, like a revenge arc. Yeah. So I'm like,
damn, you're Zuko?
Dang, that's kind of crazy.
Bro.
I'm trying to just kill everyone though.
Yeah.
At first. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Starting off like how in your childhood, like how it grew up. Offline, you told me that you grew up in a predominantly white town, and I did the same thing. So I want to know how your experiences were being a minority.
I think I didn't really notice I was a minority up until like maybe middle school, when I started becoming more aware. And it started off with like, the little things I feel like all of like Asian Americans kind of like experience with the whole, oh, no sleepovers, or like I'm not allowed to hang out with them after school, or it's like I'm not allowed to express if I have like a crush on a boy or something like that,
Yeah.
It's like that's just like not talked about. And I just remember thinking like, wait, why can't I do that? Like it just seems it seems like it's such a casual everyday thing for them. And even like my white friends would also question, like, wait, why can't you just like sleep over? You're already at like the birthday party. And I'm like, I don't know, my mom's on their way and she's gonna pick me up, so but then around high school was when I like kind of really felt it. High school, I was very aware that I was a minority because I was, I think, like one of, I don't even know, like 6 Asians in my whole
Yeah.
high school. And it was like really weird because I'm like not academically inclined whatsoever. So it's like, oh, all the Asians that I know are kind of different from me as well. So it's like I felt isolated because I was a minority, and like my white friends couldn't relate to having immigrant parents and that type of background. But then also the Asians that were in my school couldn't necessarily relate to me in the sense of like, hey, so like, what does it feel like to be a failure?
Oh, damn.
like failure premium status.
Yeah. Oh my God. Is that like the kind of mindset that you had in high school? Was just like you feeling like you were a failure?
Yeah, a little bit, but like not how do I put it? Like I just remember thinking is like, why am I so different than everybody else? So I think I chopped it up, in a comical way by saying like I was a failure, but in a more like, I guess, deeper meaning is just I just don't feel like I don't feel like how I should be, Like I don't feel like I am Asian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it because of like because of the grades, the like kind of that academic success? That's why you felt like you weren't Asian enough or Asian with them?
Yeah, kind of like I kind of equated being smart and being good at school and having the drive to have a, I guess, traditional career to be part of an Asian identity. I mean, also, it's not like the parents didn't do much, it's the parents definitely instilled that in me. So it's not like that just popped out of nowhere in my head.
Right.
But like, yeah, no, that definitely like felt weird to be like, I don't know why, but I just do not like, I don't do well in school, even when I try. And I find myself veering more towards like the creative arts than I do like in like other areas of school, you know what I
Right.
mean? Like I remember I like cried during my chem test or something like that.
Oh
It was like
God.
freshman or sophomore year, like intro to chem. And I remember just like sobbing when we were doing the test prep because I was like, I just don't understand. I swear I'm looking at like a different language. And my teacher came up to me and gave me a sticker.
Oh, just as gift. Oh,
Yeah.
that's heartwarming.
It was really sweet. She was so nice and she was like, hey, like, I know you're struggling, but you're gonna do great. I didn't do great, but she was so nice about it.
Yeah. It's just so crazy because you really are battling a lot of identity, right? So because of the stereotypical Asian things about, being academically, well, and then the pressures from your parents, like it's like you're trying to fit something that you just weren't, and you're trying so hard to be, but it just wasn't happening for you. And
It was not.
I just can't imagine how frustrating that is. Just like you're like, why can't I be, academically like successful, right? I feel like, I don't know. It's just, and then did your parents also just keep pressuring you on that standpoint or no?
I think that they probably could have gone harder, but it was very clear from a very young age that I was not smart. So I think they kind of gave up on that whole like, dream of anything spectacular happening in my life in that regard.
Yeah.
So there's that. I will say that my mom specifically has always been like, supportive in my art career just because, again, it was like, yeah, so my daughter can't pass first grade math. I don't think she's going to be a scholar anytime soon. So it's just like, oh, but she's good at art. She always doodles and draws. So like, let me try to push her in this realm, I guess. But, she's still an Asian mom, so it's gonna be like, well, you can't get anything lower than this type of grade, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if you're gonna go into art, like you still need to keep up your grades and stuff like that. So no, there was definitely a lot of pressure there. And then she channeled her Asian momness into like the arts, being like, you gotta be the best at drawing. Look at that still life, like you better get the shading right.
Oh dang! You're like, she's like, this one speck, not shaded. Dang, she's definitely looking over you while you're younger, like, hey, you're outside the lines.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll give it to her. She kept the culture, so.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, it's kind of nice to hear that your mom still pushed you, and if she knew that was something that you were, I guess, outside of like being good at, but also something you do naturally,
Yeah.
just pushing you in that sense, and instead of trying to make you what you aren't. You know what I mean? And it's not like you were like, oh, like I have no motivation to like, pursue or try to get good grades in the other subjects. But it's interesting perspective to hear, how it feels to be Asian, identify as Asian, and then not see your other Asian peers, especially when it's 106, that were probably academically, okay.
Bro,
and then
not only were they academically like super good in school and like whatever, they also could do art, and they also were in like band. So I'm like, damn, I'm working with triple threats, and I'm out here with just a singular talent on my resume. What am I supposed to do with that? Actually, though.
So then, did they like actually shun you, or
No.
Okay.
I was very extroverted.
Okay,
so
okay.
like I'm cooped up at home. I'm not allowed to hang out with people outside of school, right? But when I'm in school, I'm very extroverted. I'm super friendly, and I talk to like as many people as I can and stuff like that. So everyone was very friendly and stuff. But yeah, I feel like I couldn't relate to them with them being like so smart and have such promising futures.
Well, I mean, look at you now. We're gonna get into that later, but being your own business owner it's a hard job, and I feel like no matter how academically you are, like you will like that is a hard, difficult journey to be in. So throughout high school, it seems like you were just trying to find this identity or trying to wrestle with trying to be something that you're not. And how was it, I guess, trying to embrace your own culture when you were just kind of dealing with all this?
I think that I tried to reject it for as long as I could, up until like I kind of realized that it is kind of part of me and it is kind of important to me, like that I am Asian. When I got to college and I actually like met other Asians, but then like not only that, because I went to art school, I met Asians that were good at art and like that was their thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I feel so seen. You get me.
Yes. And I mean, that's how I felt too, going to UMass. Like in high school, I was one of 3-4 Asians.
Bro.
Yeah. And it's just like you and like, I mean, we stuck together, but like, it was just like, I think that it was like only like 1 or 2 Asian girls versus like, and then Asian guys, whatever. So the whole dating another Asian wasn't a whole concept. Like wasn't a thing for me, because I felt like living in Connecticut, most likely that.
Damn, you from Connecticut?
Yeah.
That's really what.
Yeah, exactly. But like, it's like, if I see another Asian girl outside, it's probably my cousin. So like, there's no point in going in that realm.
Yeah.
But the reason why I bring that up is because, when I thought about like bringing lunches too, right? It's just like I couldn't bring like, if I want chicken feet or some shit like that, or like even like noodles and all that stuff. I felt like it was hard for me to like just open up my Tupperware, and obviously it's gonna smell different than a fucking peanut butter and jelly sandwich, right? Yeah, exactly. So my mom understood this too, and it's like being the mono-minority and fitting in it, that you had to just do what the kind of society that you were in at that time. And I just struggled also like with how I look too. It was just like, especially being, well, first of all, Asian's one thing, but being a dark Asian, that's like a whole another thing too.
I was gonna ask, were there other
No, I was the only Southeast Asian. Really? Well, no, sorry, not the only Southeast Asian, but because one of my best friends from high school, he's Viet, so I'm gonna give him that. But dark Asian, yes. Yes. I mean, there was another girl, but like, it was like she got dark because she was like tan, whatever.
not the same.
Yeah, not the same. And even representing like Laos, it's just like you don't really see that a lot as well. Even going to UMass, I was like one of the few Lao people, but if I saw one, I'm like, yo, what's up? Yo, stick together. But no, I really struggled with kind of like the beauty standards and how Asian males were perceived. But I do contradict myself, because I did have girlfriends like
damn,
almost
you were a
every
hot
year.
Commodity. Randy, you're a good looking guy, right?
I was exotic.
Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
But did you ever feel that way at all? Being obviously developing a relationship in high school.
A little bit. I don't know. I guess I didn't really feel any type of way about me being Asian in a beauty standard way, more so in like a cultural way.
Yeah.
Because when I dated like a white guy, yeah, they didn't get it.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just did not get it.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure though that I wasn't like desired in high school, not because I was a minority, but just because I was ugly.
Who the f said that? What the hell? Who the fuck said that?
Oh, bro, I was not. I looked different. All right, I looked different. I think I looked different after like 18, 19 is when I like actually had a glow up. Because I'm looking at pictures before. Okay, no, you know the funny thing is too is that like in my head when I was prepping for this like an interview, right? The idea of just like, oh, were you like ever popular in high school? I was like, nah. Here's the thing, I wasn't popular in high school, not because I was a minority, but because I was fucking ugly and weird. All right, and I know that for a fact because my brother was popular.
Oh,
okay.
Wait, who's your brother? Wait. Dennis is your brother. Yes.
Like he was an athlete in high school, so he ran with the cool crowd and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, that just means that I was weird. That has to be what that means. I mean, it makes sense. I was in the corner, like doodling and shit.
Nah, come on, nah. So would you be like the sister that he has to bring like around and stuff like that, or you guys just pretty much live separate lives like that?
Well, he so we're 4 years apart. So as he was graduating was when I was entering high school. But I was like my brother and I were super close. I feel like you know that. We're best friends, and so I know all of his friends already and stuff like that. And I think my freshman year, the teachers were expecting me to be like athletic and like really cool, like him.
Damn,
and I disappointed them drastically. Damn, my high school life was nothing but disappointing people.
No, not the disappointment of high school.
It's
my
okay.
god,
it builds character.
Yeah, it's a revenge arc story.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you think I could be this funny without that?
Yo, what's David so always says this too. He's like, yo, because I was ugly,
that's right.
I had to be funny.
Exactly.
It's like if I was both, game over.
That's what I'm saying. Like me, like if John and I ever have a kid, I know it's gonna like our kid's gonna be really pretty, right? Because obviously I'm pretty now and he's gorgeous, whatever, right? And I'm like, oh, but it's so hard because like they should grow up with struggles. I mean, they probably will.
They will.
They will. They're gonna be Blasian. So.
Yeah, Blasian. That's a whole nother thing at that point.
Like I guess they can have that struggle, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
They should definitely go through something, or else, you know, where's the character?
I know.
Where's the humor?
Yeah.
Where's the personality?
Yeah, because I know some people in high school that like, you know, were attractive but had like no personality. I'm like, damn, that's tough. That sucks. So much potential and it's gone now.
Oh, believe me, I know that. Some pretty faces, but there's nothing behind it.
Oh. So
You'll put that. That's
okay. It's a true fact. Say it. But you know, with obviously you mentioned like your parents and like, being strict, and how did you handle that pressure?
I think definitely through my art. Like I found different forms of escapism. So up until I graduated high school, literally was not allowed to go anywhere after school except for like, you know, clubs and sports and stuff like that. So straight home. And obviously that gets so boring after a while. You can only like FaceTime so many people until they're like, hey, so like I gotta go. Right. So I'm like, all right, what do I do to entertain myself? Because this schoolwork ain't working out for me, right? No. So I found escapism through creating art and just drawing whatever that came to mind, you know, that I would literally come home from school, finish my homework, and then just paint and draw and like I might even like, you know, read some fantasy and romance books just to like pretend like, you know, I'm your name. I'm the main character and stuff like that. And then I would like draw those scenarios out and being like, oh my gosh, it could be me and stuff like that. So that's kind of where the, you know, how I tried to handle that strictness. And I tried to, I guess, channel it into a little bit more of a positive outlook, I guess, in a weird way. But then the summer after I graduated high school, it was all hell broke loose. Like I went crazy, like rebelled, because I'm like I'm moving.
Leaving.
Yeah, I'm
you're
leaving.
Out. Yeah, exactly. You're out.
It's like 3 months. What are you gonna do?
And where'd you go to school again? The college.
Oh, I went to Mass Art.
Okay.
Yeah, on Fenway.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So next to MCPHS and Northeastern, Wentworth. But
so I know that obviously with handling that pressure, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. But luckily, your mom had that kind of push for you art wise. Not dealing with, but it sounds like by you pursuing art, you pursued art because that was something, out of all the subjects that you were really good at. What also like attracts you to art like that besides being really good at it?
I think you can say a lot with such little words when it comes to art. I think that art has the potential to reach a lot, like a really wide audience, and you don't necessarily have to speak the same language. You don't have to have the same life experiences. I think innately all humans have this sort of like weird empathy and sympathy, And so I think depending on the piece of art, you can really speak to a lot of people and reach them and tap into different parts of their brain that they didn't even know like could exist. And I'm like, wow, I would love to be the creator of that. So obviously my bunnies say a lot,
So cute. And I saw your Snoopy Van Gogh recently, and I was like, oh, that's so good. Is there a piece of art that like really kind of spoke to you in on the earlier parts of your art journey?
That like I created, or
that you created or that you saw from someone else?
For one of my high school senior projects, I made a triptych that's like a 3-part art piece. So there's like a middle, and then there's like a left side and the right side. It almost looks like one of them trifolds for presentations kind of thing. So that's the setup. And I forget what the assignment was, but I remember thinking that I really wanted to make something that expresses my Asian American culture. Because that was like the first time that I was like, what if I put that into an art piece? And so I did 3 self-portraits. One me like in the middle is like just represents me, and then like the 2 other sides was my Chinese side and like my Vietnamese side. So there was like those 2 things, and then like I was like, oh my god, it's so deep. It's so like it speaks to who I am and stuff like that. But like in a weird way, it kind of did, and I still feel proud about it. Like to this day, we can talk about the technicalities of like how good it actually was, but like what it represents felt very meaningful to me, and I was like, oh, maybe I want to try to do something more with this in future works. Talk more about me being Asian in my works, because I think I kind of battled a little bit with thinking like, do I want to make my art about me being Asian, or is there other things that I can say that aren't just about me being Asian?
Right.
Yeah.
In that circumstance, like I think it's great that you have that in mind, but at the end of the day, I feel like it's more than just what your race is, what your color, your skin is. Is that something that something that you posted on your page before, like that art, or do you still have it?
It's probably still on my Instagram page, but it's like definitely really far back, because it was like, since it was like my high school years, my art has evolved obviously a lot since then. So
right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Just one quick question going back to obviously going through high school with Dennis. So when you were not, doing as well as you wanted to, did Dennis like try to help in that sense, or he was like how was he like an older brother to you like during high school in that environment?
I think Dennis helped me more with emotional issues that I would have, like especially in regards to our parents. Academically, it was a lost cause. It wasn't happening. I had no motivation for it whatsoever anyway, so it was like, I'm going to art school. There's really no need. It's fine. But Dennis was a great older brother, because I don't think a lot of older brothers, specifically like to their sisters, necessarily are as open as he was about his life, his struggles, and how he deals with like his pressures. Because oldest boy, he has different pressures and expectations that he has to handle versus like youngest girl, I guess. And so him being the first one to sort of open up and like, I guess in a weird way, like be a friend, not just a brother, like be a friend and stuff like that, it allowed me to be comfortable enough to talk to him about some of the things that I would be dealing with. Because I'm like, you're at UMass. It must be easy for you. You ain't got to deal with like mom and dad right now.
Right next to
Yeah. So I remember like talking to him like so seriously, being like, how did you deal with this when you were in high school? How did you deal with the craziness?
Yeah.
yeah, for lack of a better word and stuff like that. Or how did you find the motivation to keep going and try to like find some meaning in your life? That's a really vague way to put it, but he broke it down for me. It helps that he was a psych major too, so he really knew what he was talking about.
Yeah. What was the thing that he said to you when you were asking those questions about how do you handle all the stress and all that stuff? What was his best advice that he gave to you?
Probably to be confident in myself, my life decisions, and especially like present as confident as well, because I think that a lot of the times I come off a little bit like unsure, and that allows people to, I guess, I don't even know how to describe it, but it allows them to like go into the cracks of like me as a person being like, oh, this is probably not the right decision for you, because look at you don't even know like if this is exactly what you want, like, and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm just bad at confrontation, I'm sorry. So he would teach me like, yeah, so you kind of need to use your big girl voice. You kind of need to like have reasons to back up your claim of like, I want to do this, versus just being like, just leave me alone.
Well, that's sweet. And shout out Dennis if you're listening to this.
That's my boy.
Now I want to get into your college experiences, because I feel like this is where you definitely felt like you weren't Asian enough. There's this whole concept of being Asian enough, and I just want to harp on like context wise. I felt like I was coming from a white town and then going to a school that had a big Asian community. UMass Amherst had a huge Asian American community. And I was like, I walked in, I was like, I'm home.
We're back to the motherland, baby.
Yeah. But that's because like there's a lot of like Cambodians, like Viets and like stuff like that. My first year, I definitely didn't explore that realm. Like I definitely went to a lot of like white frat parties and stuff like that, and like I was like still being my whitewashed self. And I know I talk about this a lot, especially on a lot of episodes, but there's no discredit to that. Of course, it's like if that's how you grew up, that's how you grew up. You grow up from like your experiences, and that's fine. I think I just discovered a lot that I loved more where I was in tune with my Asian culture. But I still in the beginning didn't feel like I was Asian enough. And I felt like I was somebody that was in between. So like, I say that word because I feel like it's a commonly used word in the Asian American community, but I know Wong Fu also did a short on it about, being in between, where like you would try to resonate with, your white friends, but then like, you can't be Asian, really Asian yourself to your white friends, but you can't be like white-ish to like your Asian friends. And that's how I felt in the beginning, because they were like, oh, like you haven't done this before, or like kind of like something like that. And I just felt like, dang, like how do I navigate that bridge? But as I grew up, I was more into like my Asian culture and really started to build those friendships. Just on this concept of being Asian enough, like, can you talk about like struggles and just the feelings of it?
Yeah, I think that I went into college not necessarily expecting to find, the Asian American community. Also because it was our college, it's not like UMass Amherst, But yeah, I think the first couple of months it was a lot of white people, going to frat parties, white frat parties, and stuff like that. And then eventually I was able to find a couple of Asian people like in my school, and they were like me, and we had the same humor, and it was really nice. And that's when I kind of like, we would bounce off each other being like, yo, your parents did this, right? I was like, oh my God, yes, we're not even from the same town, and
Yeah.
So it felt so good to like, I was like, oh, I feel so seen right now, So it that's when I kind of realized, I'm like, damn, maybe I do like being Asian. Or maybe it's like I didn't appreciate what being Asian was until I met people who also had the same like experiences as me, So it's like, oh, I'm not like the odd one out. It's not just something that like I have to like forget about. It's like, no, that it's part of me. It's the reason that I am who I am today. And that's the reason that you're the, you are who you are today too.
Yeah.
And that's why we vibe.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think that's what we all desire as human beings, just find a community and find some place where we feel like we belong.
You find that in dance team?
Yep, I found that in dance for sure. I don't know why it took me so long to hang out with them outside of like dance practice and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, so my first semester that I joined, luckily when I joined, I would still be hanging out with my friends in my dorm. I still love them and they're great. They never made me feel like I was an outsider or something. Obviously they couldn't resonate with like parents that are strict and all that stuff, but like they still made me feel welcome. But when I started to hang out with, more people on my team who were Asian, it was just like, oh, like you said, like, oh, like I remember having to sacrifice so much sleep to do homework while, other people are like, oh, I just let my parents just let it slide. I'm like, bro, that is not happening for me. It's like I literally cried in 6th grade for getting a 68 on a math test. Oh. Like they were like, I couldn't understand the concept because it was just a grade. And it's so crazy because like we put so much emphasis on it. It's a so there's reality fear, like real fear, and then fear that just it's like imaginary. It's not like an actual threat. It's just something that we think is a threat to our mind, and that's where our brain goes. That's
just mad real.
No,
don't play yourself.
No. It's super real. It's super real. But all that to say is, it's like when I was with them, I just felt like I could be more of myself and talk about, I can say like, oh, I eat chicken feet, and like no one's like, ew, like what is that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, they're like, oh, let me suck those toes.
And let me tell you, I'm the best at doing that.
Right. That's a real man right there.
Honestly, I feel like that's the only reason why I could be a good kisser was because of that. I said it before. I was like, "Yep, that's how I learned. That's how I learned." Even though I was like afraid of it at first, but I was like, "Oh no, this shit's gas."
It's always awkward at first.
Yeah, because you're like, there's no nail on there, but like, yeah.
You're like, yo, don't look.
Yeah, don't look, please, don't look at me, please. But yeah, I guess any other feelings on that, just the concept of being Asian enough, and maybe if someone's listening and they feel like they're not Asian enough, what is something that you would say to them?
You're Asian enough for just being Asian,
I also added you're enough just because you are who you are.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, sure.
Sure, I mean, if that's how you want to look at it.
You can tack that on, extra credit, or whatever.
So let's get into this event that basically has shot off your own brand. Like, what was this offline? You told me that there was this event that like basically was a pivotal point in your career.
Let me sit up.
She said, let me get it. So y'all get your popcorn right now.
That's right. Okay, so when I graduated college, I definitely wanted to start the Etsy shop. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
No, go ahead.
I got too excited.
Go ahead, retry.
Adrenaline's bumping and stuff. But okay, so I graduated college and I immediately started my online shop, the Etsy store, because I had been wanting to do it for a while, and I was kind of like, still finding a job post-grad. So I'm like, oh, this would be really cute for passive income, good for the portfolio and all that stuff. And I was just sending out job applications left and right, because they always say like, oh, just like shoot the application and then like eventually like something will come back to you and stuff like that. And so something did come back. I got asked for an interview. I will say, like, full disclaimer, I knew that I wasn't really qualified for this job. Okay. Mm-hmm. But it was for like medical illustration.
Okay.
And I was like, I mean, again, we'll just apply and I'll get that rejection letter like I always do. So like, who cares, right? Mm-hmm. So and then they were like, hey, we want to set up an interview. I'm like, all right, let's start doing some interview prep, right? Yeah. And so I did my very best to be like, hey, so this is what I do. The bunnies will be able to like, I'll draw that, like, internal organ for you.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah,
get
yeah.
me wrong, I can do it.
Yeah.
But this is all I got in terms of like portfolio work that you can physically see right now.
Yeah.
You know? So I did like the interview prep. I did like, you know, all those like transitional, like, yeah, I can do X, but I can also do Y. And I'm really motivated to do, to like work at this and learn on the job if you're willing to give me a chance, obviously, you know, because I kind of knew that like, it's not gonna happen.
You gotta fake some shit just to make sure, to know that like, hey, there's no doubt that I'm still can do what you want me to do.
Yeah, you just kind of gotta take a chance on me. That's really up to you, though. Kind of thing. And this person, this interviewer, we'll put it out there first that they were not even prepared for the interview. They were like, I get on the call and they're like, hey, sorry, I'm getting in my car right now, so like, I'm gonna connect you to my Bluetooth. I'm like, okay.
That's so unprofessional.
Randy, don't get me started. and like they didn't have any questions like lined up, like, you know, I'm as if I'm not worthy for a Google Docs in front of me with like bullet points. No, they were just like talking on the fly. And so again, I'm doing my very best to give them my spiel, and they're like, yeah, but it doesn't really seem like you have any background in this field, so like what could you do? And I'm like, so I essentially give another version of my spiel, and then they say it pretty much the same thing. It's just like, yeah, but I just don't really believe that you're capable of it.
That's so like rude in the first place.
Yeah. So it was like a couple of circles of the same conversation, and I was getting really like anxious and like really nervous, and it was just so awkward because it was pretty clear that like, yeah, I don't got what you need. You know, this conversation's really not going anywhere. And then at the end, they were like, yeah, no, I just try to like I want to give a chance to everyone who applies and, you know, you know, essentially just like, I don't want to just shoot them down without just talking. And I think that they tried to say that to come off as like, oh, this is a noble thing I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But in my head, I'm kind of like, you just wasted both of our times.
Yeah.
Clearly you're a busy person, you know, getting in the car
and doing an interview from a car.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and so it was just like, also they were like kind of really demeaning, like
obviously saying like, oh, but it doesn't sound like you don't know how to do this shit.
It's like, it doesn't really sound like you know what you're doing whatsoever. And I'm like, well then why did you call me?
Why did you give me that? Yeah,
exactly. So after that interview I cried. I cried, and I was like, I'm not good enough. I knew that wasn't the case, but it's like when you got talked down to for like 15-20 minutes straight by someone who you're kind of like being like, hey, like, it's your place, more porridge, like, it just felt so disheartening. And at that point I was kind of like, you know, if this is what it's like to try to find a job post-grad, or like this is the whole, like, how many times do I have to go through this before I find something that sticks? And so I was like, you know what, I think for my own sanity, I'm just going to take a break from trying to find that full-time job, you know, that traditional like job post-grad, and just, you know, figure out my business. Like I kind of wanted to make it like a legit thing, so might as well take some time to do it anyways. You know? So that is how Connie Ong became what it is today.
The origin story.
Yeah, so thank you to whoever.
It's those that it's those that hate us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like, I would do the same thing. Like I'm gonna do my own shit if this is how like it's going to be. And I know art school in general is very hard, and I feel like it's very like hard to even get a job even when you graduate. Yeah. Oh my God. But it's so it's actually very opportunist of you to have your own shop, like even at that age, like even thinking about a business. I think that's really cool, and I wish I did that with Highest Version. Like I already have a whole podcast space in college, but obviously both of us had this experience, which is the pandemic, and I know that had some effect on you. What happened? What were those? How did the pandemic affect you?
Now, I think it was like March 12th or something.
Yeah, March. Yeah.
Yeah, like
2020.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was midway through my sophomore year of college. You get the call. hey, pack your stuff. You're not coming back. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. It's like, just like for another semester, right? Nah. So I had to move back home midway through my sophomore year up until the end of my junior year. And then senior year, I was able to move back into not my dorm, but like apartment off campus. But at that, like, it was still so different, obviously, you know, like protocols were still in place, no like big social gatherings and stuff like that. And then also in my college dorm, we had like work rooms that you can like bring all your artworks like to do your homework and stuff like that. And so it was great. The vibes immaculate. All right, everyone out here 4 a.m. trying to like draw their lines and like shade in their trees and stuff like that, and we're all just bonding, critiquing each other as we're going and stuff like that. But I'm in like senior year, I'm in my apartment, and it's just me and like my roommate, but like it just wasn't the same. And I felt like I didn't really get what being in art school was meant to give you, which was like that type of social I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like the opportunity to just bounce ideas off with each other, or just networking in general, and you know, getting a lot closer with your professors and your teachers, because they're also working artists, obviously,
Right.
so they have so much knowledge that, like, you know, unless you have the motivation to talk to them outside of school. But the funny thing is, it's not outside of school. You got to email them in a break room or something on Zoom. So it was like awkward as hell. But you know, you don't really, I feel like I didn't really get a lot of extra outside school learning opportunities that probably could have benefited me to, like, you know, now had I had it. So the pandemic was just not it. Nor that I think it was for anybody, but
Right. But I mean, the pandemic was just a lot for everyone to get through, and like you said, like, it's those opportunities, especially being in art school. I feel like you have to have networking opportunities in order for you to get in the direction that you want to. So to have kind of that in-person element taken away from you, it's definitely tough.
I will say though that but like, since I had to do all my materials, like, or I had to do all my artwork at home, like, it got expensive, you know, buying the paints and the canvases and stuff like that. So I invested in an iPad and I started doing digital art. And that is how we have my current art style and like how I do my work now, because it's a lot more mobile. So if there was one thing good to come out of this,
it was that. It was that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't give you like allowance or anything like that for art stuff, especially going to art school.
Yeah, no, they didn't have free Adobe subscriptions for us until the pandemic. It's so expensive.
And Adobe's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, video editing wise, it's tough. It's tough.
It's so bad.
I mean, there's a lot of questions in my mind, just like even from art school, but even like, I think even though you went through those struggles, like, you just made great opportunity out of it. Like, you really took a lot of things into your own hands, where I feel like a lot of people would shut down this kind of passion that they have, right? Because because of one obstacle, especially with the pandemic. And, you know, Michelle's sister also took an opportunity with the pandemic, creating her own business at that time. And I'm not sure if it was an opportunity, but I feel like a lot of people had opportunities in the pandemic and really took advantage of it. And I feel like you really did that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so sweet.
I mean, reflecting back on college and, you know, all those feelings that you had, is there any type of advice you would give to yourself at that time, especially, you know, going through those hardships?
Get a therapist.
Snaps.
Even just to talk out your emotions. Being such a sheltered person for so long, and then that being extended because I lived at home for like 2 years of my college life, like I went absolutely crazy. Like, it was really bad, and I, like, you know, started getting into really some self-destructive behaviors, and you know, just to feel something. So yeah, I think my advice to pandemic me would be like, hey, let's calm down. Let's talk to somebody, and recognize that it's okay to be an absolute mess, you know, but let's make sure that we keep that too.
Yeah.
Like we don't let that affect other people in a negative way, you know. Obviously you can reach out to people and stuff like that, but yeah.
Yeah. What were those negative thoughts that you were having?
That I wasn't good enough, you know, that like what's the point of any of this? I think I got really deep into the nihilism, like
What is that? Sorry.
I don't know if that's the proper term, but it's like the you know the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Yes, but sadly, I have not watched it. Yeah, I know. Sorry. I was
gonna make a messed up joke.
I'm doing bad of the Asian culture.
I was gonna say, I was like, are you even Asian?
Yeah. It's like me not watching Squid Games. Yeah, I know. I'm bad. But for
You're
me,
not for the culture.
for me, it's just like I like violence and stuff like that. Like it fucks with my head.
Okay.
Like
That's very fair.
and you know how fucking like K-dramas are. Like they hit on societal things. That's why I can't watch Black Mirror either.
Yeah.
Like it fucks me up in my head, and it's bad. And like I've had super anxiety just like thinking about, oh well, if this happens, then like this next bad thing's gonna happen. Blah blah blah. Side tangent, but yeah.
Okay.
I won't put that as an excuse, people, but I will say I just prioritize my mental health at the time.
I'll take the answer.
Yeah. But I do catch up through like clips, and I see clips, and then I start to understand. I talk to people just to understand, because they'll be like, "Oh, are you gonna watch?" I'm like, "No." So like, tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. So it was, so that movie, I guess the whole thing that they were trying to go around. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna get so canceled for even trying to explain it like this. But that sort of newer generation thought process of like, there's so much going on in the world, like there's too much, like nothing matters because everything matters in a weird way. All right.
Yeah.
It's a very like simple way of putting it, but that's kind of how I felt, where it was just that like there's so much going on in the world, and I'm like overcome with so many like, I guess, emotions about myself and how I affect other people. You know, honestly, I had like thoughts of like, I'm not a good person. You know what I mean? So there was a lot of like that going on. And yeah, that when you have nothing to do except stay in your house because of the pandemic, you like, there's no really escaping it. You kind of have to like deal with it.
Yeah.
I did not deal with it in healthy ways, but you know.
I mean, when we have this kind of time and chance to sit with ourselves and our own thoughts, before the pandemic, I feel like all of us were just like our brain was just like going. Sometimes even I like to say autopilot, where you're just going through the motions and not really looking at yourself from a self-awareness perspective. Unfortunately, because of the pandemic, it wasn't because of the pandemic, but before it, I was dealing with depression. I had my episode of wanting to kill myself, and like then the pandemic happened. So having that on top of that, I was just like, damn. But
that's horrible timing.
I know it was terrible timing, but honestly, it gave me the chance to really look at myself and the thoughts that I was having, being like, what is up? I was gonna say what's wrong with you, but nothing was wrong with me. It was just like there was things I was doing to myself, saying to myself, that was just bringing me down instead of bringing me up. And in a way that drove me to be like, okay, I'm going to read self-help books. I'm going to read the podcast. I'm going to do everything I can. I went to therapy to figure out how I'm going to get better mentally. And, the pandemic actually gave me that time to do it. And I know everybody was going through their own situations. And yeah, it was a tough time for a lot of people. Something I actually realized was that, and it's something you brought up earlier about high school, is that my humor in high school was self-deprecating humor. So I would be like, oh yeah, you don't want that because I'm ugly. And then like, yeah. And then like, it's just like, why? And then I looked at it, I was like, why would I say that? Like, I already know I had so much insecurities about myself and my looks. And I only said that because I thought people found it, funny, being funny. I'm not a funny guy. So I felt like doing the self-deprecating humor would be what drive, be the humor that I kind of resonated with. But yeah, no, there's just so many things I was saying to myself, especially at a young age, that that like really drove my self-worth to the ground. And then I identified all those, and still working through a couple of them, but yeah, the pandemic gave me a reason, an opportunity to fix myself. But I know for other people, it definitely had the opposite effect, and I feel terrible in that sense. But this is what I want to do in terms of like helping people learn what I learned, and that, you know, how you look at yourself is very, very important. And, you know, the thing I'm working on this year is just like not caring about what other people think of me, especially being creators. Like your life is based off basically like what other people think of you. But having a strong sense of who you are, despite what anyone says, is a journey in itself. So yeah, just speaking on my little pandemic songs in that standpoint. Yeah.
Also, I want to commend you for being a you know, like a public figure. It's not easy whatsoever, you know, and especially like your form of your platform, it's very vulnerable, and you talk about a lot of like your yourself, and in your most vulnerable moments, like that's not easy, especially for like the public to consume.
Yeah,
that's so scary.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're so brave. Maybe you are fire.
But the thing I think about it is like, especially being Asian American, it's like we're not supposed to put our business out there. Yeah. And like, granted, like there are some things I keep dear to my heart, like about like, you know, my partner's life and anything like that. Like I don't put out into the world. Everything I'm saying is like something I experienced that I'm comfortable bringing. I try not to, you know, bring out like my family stuff. Like that's you know, it's just more of my experience at that point. So yeah, you know, no matter what, like we all have a voice, and I feel like we all should be able to honor that voice. So yeah, it's kind of crazy because I feel like you just kind of got me in a nutshell right there. I don't know what else. Let's go on to, I think something I was really excited about is your own children's book, Vivi's New Year. If you guys haven't gotten a copy, you guys definitely need to go get it. Connie did all the illustrations, did the narrative all herself. I know that I took a read through it and I was like, dang, like this is great for any young kid to really like to really embody. And somebody who's a teacher actually told me that they're gonna go get the book for her classroom as well. So, you know, when I was reading it, I kind of felt that concept that you said, you know, being afraid to show, you know, the Asian culture side. But can you go into like, you know, why you wrote the book and kind of the narrative that you put for it?
Yeah. I guess we'll start off chronologically. This book was born during my senior year of college. We had to do like our final thesis project, and I originally it was actually three different books. So it would be one out of a series, and it kind of stemmed with me being like, I want that kind of same thing that in high school where it's like, okay, I'm at the tail end of my schooling here. It would be really nice to try to say something meaningful with my project. And yeah, I just thought about, I wanted to make a children's book because I knew that's where my art style was kind of leading into. And I tapped into like that little girl within myself being like, what kind of book would I have liked to read in like my first grade, kindergarten class, whatever. And I was like, I would have really liked to read a book about being Asian, you know, because there wasn't a lot of those. So I was like, all right, cool. That's the idea. That's where we're sparking it from. And I kind of, I was kind of crazy, and I was like, all right, let's write like 3 books and we'll do it all within 1 year.
Dang.
They were not good. Like they were written, but the illustrations were like, so they had to be rushed. Yeah, obviously. But so after I presented the final project during my senior year, I was like, okay, well, let's try to make this like into a thing. So I picked the strongest book that I felt like had a more unique take on like talking about being Asian American. So I chose Vivi's New Year because it did happen to me where I was like, I think it was my first grade class where I'm like, I really want to, you know, share about my favorite holiday. It was an assignment, and then I was like, but nobody in my class would know what I'm talking about. And I remember asking my dad, being like, do I bother doing this? Like, or should I just say like Christmas? I don't know. Yeah. He was like, no, it's fine. Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did it, and like everyone was just like really chill about it. They're like, oh, I never heard of that. That's really cool. Like, tell us more and stuff like that. And, you know, I think like during like the middle school phase, my cousin Stephanie and I, we even made like a little Lunar New Year presentation for our class. It was really cute, and we dressed up. It was adorable. And I remember at the time, like, not necessarily liking it, but looking back on it, it was like, oh, it was really special. So yeah, that's kind of where it stemmed from. And I wrote and I re-illustrated everything, and then I researched how to self-publish it, and that was fun. I learned a lot about ISBN numbers and stuff.
I can only imagine.
It was so weird.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, the process of even writing a book, I mean, how was that like?
Oh my God. So I have the first draft written. I send it to John. And I'm like, honey, can you make sure this makes sense? And he was like, all right, let's get to work. And like, he proofreads it. He's my Grammarly, okay? So yeah, it's written by me, but like, I consider it to be written by me and John, but mostly John.
Okay.
John's my boyfriend, by the way. But no, he's very sweet. He's like, no, you wrote that shit. So like, don't give me credit for that. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But yeah,
we love that, man.
Yes, we do. So yeah, like I wrote it out exactly how I just told the story, and then I like, you know, I was like, okay, how do I simplify it for younger children to be able to like understand and follow along with the story.
I mean, you even put dishes in the language too, which is I feel like I haven't seen that in a children's book before. Like that's so, first of all, educating, and awesome that even putting out that kind of exposure. I feel like in elementary school, like we had like a Japan Day, like, you know, like having like and that kind of stuff, but no one has ever brought up about like a Lunar New Year. And no, I think it's awesome what you did, and that kind of message that you put out there. And like you said, it sort of was for your inner child too. It
was very healing.
You mentioned something else that also drove you to write the book.
When I was creating it in school, my teacher, her name's Polly Becker, fantastic person. I remember opening up to her being like, I don't know how comfortable I feel about writing these books, because there's a part of me that doesn't feel like Asian enough. Like I don't know if I like feel, you know, the imposter syndrome, and being like, I'm kind of a fraud because I don't really know if what I'm writing is accurate. Like, you know, because there's a little bit of there's some Chinese words in there, and I'm like, oh, I can't tell you if I know how to read it. That's the funny part. You know, but she was really great because she opened my eyes to the fact that I'm writing these books from my like experiences, and if my experience was, you know, how XYZ, you know, this is how it was, then like, who's someone else to tell you that that's inaccurate? And that was like, all right, like, I'm motivated, let's do this, you know? But those words are something that I still have to repeat to myself whenever I have that imposter syndrome, like trying to promote the book, or like, you know, just, I don't know, when someone asks me about it and like wants to talk like really in depth about like the Asian culture. There's only, because one of my markets, this very sweet girl came up to me, and I think she looked white, and she started speaking to me in Mandarin.
Oh, and you're like,
because at first she asked me about the book and was like, oh, like, are you Chinese? And I'm like, yeah, whatever. I speak Cantonese. I know a little bit of Mandarin, but not really. And then she started speaking to me in Mandarin. It was embarrassing. I was like, what ting dao? And that was pretty much it. I was like, and then like, it was, I felt so embarrassed. I'm like, how am I supposed to be out here promoting this book when I just got schooled?
I mean, still, but Lunar New Year is to many cultures, right? To many different, so I feel like, I don't know, like, it's completely fine. And obviously there's different Cantonese and Mandarin and stuff like that. But I mean, it's, honestly, if anyone came up to me started speaking loud, like, I kind of understand what you're saying, but I can't talk it back. Yeah. How good is your Cantonese?
It's not great, but I can hold a conversation.
Okay, cool.
I can't use like really eloquent words, but it'll be like you're talking to a kid, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have what you would say broken Chinglish?
All the time, especially when I'm talking to my parents.
Did they ever put you like in like Chinese school or anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I got a book about that one too. Actually, it's in the woodworks. But yeah, no. So I grew up speaking Cantonese in my house, so that's why I'm good at it. But I was put in school for Mandarin up until like I was 16.
If you were growing up speaking Cantonese, but got put into school for is it only just because your parents wanted you to speak both?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, so like it's like, oh, you're already good at Cantonese. Let's try to put you in Mandarin because it's also like the the more widely used one.
Yeah.
So I got put into school for Mandarin up until I was 16. I wasn't good at it, but like I could hold a conversation, and then I haven't used Mandarin since, and so it's basically all lost now. So I'm like, damn, the investment was not investing. I'm sorry, mother.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Yeah,
it's okay. Parents can try all their most, but at some point, there's nothing you can do about it.
Exactly. Yeah. So if she spoke to me in Cantonese, I could have. We could have been friends.
So what came out? What happened after? Was she just like, okay, thank you, and then walked away?
That's exactly what it was.
Oh no! She was like, dang, unauthentic author.
Fake ass. I'm like, and then Carmen, our friend Carmen.
Yeah.
Because she does these markets with me. Fantastic pottery maker, by the way.
Okay.
All right, ceramics. Check her out. But she witnessed it, and I was like, she's also Canto speaking, so she's just like, she's watching this happen, and I'm like, please turn around, Carmen.
Yeah.
Let me duck my head in shame.
No, we're gonna embrace it. We're gonna embrace that.
That's right.
I mean, it's hard nowadays, especially like how I feel with my language, and I know I feel like I should have definitely learned Lao a lot more growing up and doing it when my mom said like the temple that I would go to would have like a Lao language school.
Yeah.
So like I kind of wish that temple was also mad far away, so I don't think I can even do that. But I wish I did something like that. I haven't really researched Duolingo either, if they have it.
They don't have Canto on Duolingo.
That's interesting.
I know, I tried because John also wanted to learn Cantonese.
Yeah.
So,
Wow, what a beautiful man. Good for him for trying to want to learn. Let's go.
This whole episode is just me gassing that man up.
Okay, let's go into about being a creator. This year has been, in September of last year is when I started to become a creator again. And I feel there's so many struggles about being a creator. One of them, imposter syndrome. For me, I just experienced like, who would actually care about the shit I would say, right?
Yeah.
And then also like just coming up with ideas is like so crazy. Like the ideas I have for this year has come from most of the things I've posted already, just in a more video format. But after that, I'm scared because I'm like, what else am I going to talk about? And I'm not gonna put myself in a poor mental health state again just to figure out. It's just like when singers like get into a relationship, break up just to create like a hit song. Yeah. I'm not gonna do that again. But what struggles have you had as a creator yourself?
Definitely dealing with burnout and like art block. That's definitely what I'm going through right now. I think by the end of Christmas season to early January, February-ish is like when I feel it the most because Christmas is like hot commodity, the consumers are consumering for sure. And so this is when it's sort of like trying to take a break in a weird way. I will say that I have been grinding at my business for like 3 years at this point now. Cause it started in 2022. So I'm kind of like trying to figure out what the next steps are for me while also giving myself some time to actually like take a breather and appreciate what I have created.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so easy to get caught up in looking for the next thing that you kind of forget to like think, hey, this kind of started from nothing and you were able to create what you have right now. Like that's not an easy task. And so, I'm just taking a look and I'm like, all right, people like my stuff. Nice.
Yeah, you reached like 500 sales, like I don't know, like recent, like not even recently, right?
Yeah, no, I think it was like within 2 years of my shop opening, literally from like nothing to 2 years, like I was able to reach 500, and that felt super like, I was like, I'm so happy.
Yeah, yeah,
People give
yeah.
a fuck about me. They like my shit. Oh.
It's so cute. You guys really gotta check it out. You guys really gotta check it out. Yeah, no, and then you're on top of doing this, you're also working an actual like 9 to 5 job, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that, because I feel like I get burnt out. Like after work, I'm just like, okay, I gotta do highest version stuff, but I'm like editing and just like falling asleep, and like it's I've had some pretty late nights recently just trying to catch up on a lot of editing stuff. So
Yeah, it's not an easy task. It's not for the weak, and
yeah,
it's not for everybody, all
yeah.
right? You're not weak if you can't do it, all right? I'm just crazy. There was something within me for some reason for the last like 2 years to be like, nah, we can do this. Like, I don't know if it was like to prove something to myself or to like an imaginary outer like hater.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But in my head, I'm kind of like, no, I will make this business successful while also being able to pay like my bills with the stable income,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
And I'm also a night owl, so it kind of helps that I don't mind staying up till like 3 in the morning, like creating. Because honestly, sometimes I'll get started when I get home from work, and then like I'll just look at the clock and I'll be like, oh shit, it's 2:30 in the morning. Like I didn't even realize, because like I have fun. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it is actually my like decompressing time. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah.
a great time when I do it. In fact, I like sometimes when I'm at work, I yearn to do it. So
Well, that's good, because that shows like true passion into it. Any advice for those who are either A, thinking about passion, being a creator, while balancing a actual like job, like a 9 to 5 job?
this might be, I hope it's not taken the wrong way. I think there is a lot of there's a lot of rhetoric out there to be like follow your passions, you know, like you can do it. Or sorry, my phone keeps buzzing.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But like, oh, like if you just commit yourself to it, if you just commit like the time to it, like you can make it work. And from my experience, bills still need to get paid. Let's make sure we have that stable income, you know, and although it's a little extra work, it is a lot safer for you to be able to afford the passion through your, you know, other forms of income. So I think that would be what I would tell like any creators out there or anybody wanting to really pursue their passion, is that like it's great and you should definitely commit yourself to it, but definitely make sure you have a backup plan, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's all about using that job to fund your passion.
Yes.
And like, I do want to emphasize, like, you know, even if you do have a passion, like, don't just go out there and just quit your job.
Yes.
Unless you have like enough money to like really supply it, because you really don't know in the direction that it's gonna go.
Yeah.
And you know, you have so much energy in the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's like it's how you are consistent and disciplined. And I'm still early in it, and there may be times I'm like, am I still good to do this? Like, I keep asking myself that every day, and usually the answer is yes. But it's like, I would be lying to you if I wasn't like, yo, I'm so tired. Like I need, like, maybe I should step away. Maybe this isn't actually something that I should do.
Right. Well, because also like usually I feel like a passion project, it is kind of unstable income, because some days you'll have like a lot and then sometimes you'll get like very little, you know, like depending on, like for me, you know, sometimes sales are booming during this month but like very slow next month and stuff like that. Had I just put all my eggs in one basket, like I can go to EDC maybe, but maybe not eat groceries in the next month or something like that. So that would have been bad.
Yeah.
But and sometimes you need a break from being so creative. So it's kind of nice to just like clock in, clock out.
Yeah.
Be like, the paycheck.
Right. It's not like inspiration's always gonna hit you either way too.
Yeah.
Like writing all these like podcast scripts, especially like my solo ones, and even like the new series that I'm coming out with. It's been super hard, because I'm like, how do I frame this? I know grammar wise for me, like, I'm not that great either. So I'm just like, how do I, like, I don't know, like it's there's just so much mentally as a creator it's just so hard to deal with. But you know, we're not saying it's not a possibility, but it's just like, these are certain obstacles that you might hit or these are some things from our experiences, so learn from it.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
want to make sure everyone's taken care of while they
Right.
pursue their passions.
Exactly. And being your own business owner, I know have harped to me about, struggles that you had. What's something that you've come across as a business owner that you either made a mistake and learned from, or B, just something you struggled with?
I think the biggest one would be the, for lack of a better term, backseat driving from other people. I think that.
Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah,
Curious.
sure.
Yeah.
So, family and friends. Yeah, they're but mostly family.
Yeah.
I just put friends out there just to
Possibility of.
Yeah, exactly. Get the heat off of them.
Yeah.
We won't be specific, but I think that my family for sure is they have a lot of opinions, and I know that it stems from them just wanting the best for me, and they want my business to be successful and stuff like that. But I don't think they really fully understand that I want to do this on my own, and also that there are certain I guess newer generation trends that one should follow if they want to appeal to the mass audience that maybe an older generation just doesn't really understand. For example, I don't think my family really understands that it is possible to make a living off of an online business selling art. Their very traditional mindset is oh no, you definitely need to get an office job, that typical 9-to-5 design job and stuff like that, or at the bare minimum maybe contract freelance work and stuff like that. And I try my very hardest to be patient, or even try to explain it to them, but sometimes it's just not worth it.
Yeah. Is there also a language barrier in that sense, or no?
Not as much, I would say. I'll do my best to break it down in Canto, but for the most part they understand when I'm screaming at them in English,
Yeah.
They get the gist of what I'm saying.
Right.
But yeah, no, because they're oh, it's cute that you're doing these vendor markets, but is it really sustainable? I'm well, I mean, for 4 hours of work I just made X amount of money. So what's wrong with that?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's money that's coming in. I feel like that's all Asian parents really care about, is your security, your safety. Yeah. And the second question of that was, what's a mistake that you had to learn from as a business owner?
I don't know if this is necessarily a mistake, but I would highly suggest to younger artists or people that's trying to get into the art business and stuff like that, maybe not to lean heavily into fan art and stuff like that. I know that there's a market for it, absolutely, and no hate to them whatsoever. I think for myself though, I kind of really wanted people to like my art for my art, and not because it's oh, this character, but in my style, you know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I'm hella tempted, you can make bank off of that stuff, but I do find hesitation with it. So I think that for younger artists, maybe don't be tempted as much, because I got hit with a cease and desist for a sticker sheet that I made for The Summer I Turned Pretty, which is it was just hey, so this is copyrighted property, so you can't sell their merchandise, you have to take it down.
Okay.
So yeah, big corporations or whatever, they'll usually hit you with the cease and desist, which is just oh, just take it down. But if they really wanted to, they probably won't, but if they really wanted to, they could go with a lawsuit and stuff like that. So I had The Summer I Turned Pretty and To All the Boys sticker sheets, because I freaking love those movies. This is a jacket from one of those movies.
Okay.
All right. But I had the sticker sheet up for a while, and they sold really well, but then I had to take it down until I'm kind of oh, I wonder if the audience that liked that would like my other stuff, or was it just because it was a different property?
Yeah. Did you have to pay them the profits that you had, or no?
No.
Oh, okay. luckily.
No, fingers crossed.
Luckily, that was it.
Yeah, so we took that down real quick, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're never even there. That's crazy. But I have people asking me, is like, hey, are they gonna come back up? Like, I saw this, and like, are you gonna restock them? I'm like, no. Yeah.
We're not trying to get $1 million lawsuit right now.
So I got mad people asking me about the Snoopy Van Gogh frames, and I'm like, nah,
not even a chance.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't want peanuts coming from my ass.
Well, Connie, I think you've provided a lot of evidence, and I've gotten a super chance to know you as a person, but also a creator. And I found a lot of interesting and just inspiring stuff from going on a pathway that not a lot of Asian Americans go through. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you so much. And I'm glad I just got a chance just to know you as a person, a creator, and just your life story and where that's going to be. I feel like when I looked at your page, like, it just made me want to like obviously root for you more and support you and, you know, do it in any way that I can. So thank you again so much. And I hope you got a chance to just, you know more about me too.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me on here. It was great chatting with you. I'll see you at the next rave.
I know, true. Well, let's see which one that will be. Before we get into questions from the audience, actually, I want to play good segue, actually. Ooh. Song association. Oh. So I'll give you a word, and you'll think of a title or a lyric, and you do the same back to me. So if you hit on R&B, it's probably not a lot of songs, but I'll say bed.
Rock. I can make you bed.
Rock. That's all I was thinking about too.
Yeah.
RJ Holiday's I can push you to bed. Yep. That's R&B back in the day for sure. That was too funny. Are you big R&B head?
Yeah, I like old like 2000s R&B.
Same. Yeah.
The music of our childhood.
I know. Yeah. Okay. I think it's your turn to give me a word.
Wet.
What? Damn. I was actually gonna give you that word, but I was like, all right, let me give you PG, but since you gave it to me, let's go. I mean, the first one came up was "What the Bed" by Chris Brown. Oh. Yeah. He's like, even the intro, everybody drip, some on the lips. Nah, I'm meant to. Yeah.
I was thinking "Wet Dreams" by J. Cole, but I think that's more. I guess that's more hip hop than it is R&B.
Yeah.
Wait, can I? Not to change the subject. Can I tell you a fun story?
Go ahead.
Okay, so I forget what, because you're what, like 1 year grade above me.
I believe like so. I'm 25.
25. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So did you ever perform? Like, you performed at the UMass Amherst Snowball.
Yeah, Winter Ball.
Yeah, Winter Ball in 2018, right?
Yeah.
I was there.
So.
And I wanted to be y'all so badly. I'm like, damn.
Were you just visiting Dennis?
No, Dennis was graduated at that point.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
I was visiting a friend. I don't know if you. We can cut her name. I'm not sure if she's comfortable with that.
Small girl.
Yeah, small Asian
glasses.
girl.
Yeah, Asa. I mean, she's part of Asian Americans. Yeah. Yeah, I know her. Yeah.
So, me and Savannah, we went to go visit her because she was like, "Oh, there's this winter ball. You should come through." And we went. And I remember when you guys came out to perform, because also Brian and Ronald were doing yo-yo. I'm pretty sure at that point.
Yeah, I didn't even know them at that time.
And y'all, specifically, it's ingrained in my memory when y'all did a choreo for Buttons by Pussycat Dolls.
Yeah, Igor's choreo. Did you know that's Igor? He never told you that's Igor's choreo.
Dude,
Bro, that's all Igor. The chairs and everything.
I need Igor's to show me that, because I was like, that is who I want to be. Them, right there.
You guys didn't know Igor's.
Igor's the reason we know each other. Igor.
Oh yeah, you could picture Igor as this very. I would say Igor's Igor. If you know, this is a if you know, you know kind of moment.
That's funny. You probably do know him.
Yeah.
If you went to Amherst, or even if you didn't go to Amherst, you know
him. Yeah. If you grew up in Lowell at this time, you know him too. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, no, and then I think I saw, because I'm creeping through your Instagram page, and I'm like, shut the f*** up, this was you.
Yeah.
It was you.
Yeah. Yeah, I choreoed Chris Brown's Wall to Wall for that set. Yeah. And I try to be cool walking through all shit.
Dude, I thought you were so cool. Red flannel and everything. I'm like, I want to be that.
I wasn't wearing red flannel.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. I was like, who's wearing flannel? No. But I got you, mean, bro. Because I felt honestly still insecure about my body at that time. I fucking did like 100 push-ups before that performance because I was wearing a jersey, and I was like, yo, I gotta look big in this. And then luckily, in that video, the lighting is so good for my center moment, and I was like, damn, I was like, let's go. And people even like texted me. It was like, why do you look buff in this? And I was like, 100 push-ups right before. That's how you do it.
I had to slip a guy like a couple fives just to like get the lighting right. Like,
Exactly. Hey man, here, make sure. Good muscle aesthetic.
I got tape on the X right there. All right, just put it right, that spotlight, the sweet spot right there. A little lower. There we go.
That's so crazy. There's so many moments where like we were in the same space and we just didn't even know. It's so crazy. All right, Connie, so we do have questions from the audience, and this comes from Michelle Mark, my partner. And she said, what's your favorite thing to draw?
My favorite thing to draw would be bears.
Why bears?
They're just so cute.
Yeah, they are.
They're such friend shapes. And you can do so much with such little expressions on a bear.
True. So do bunnies come right after bears?
Yeah, I would say. I think it's like bears, bunnies, and then I'm really into cats. I used to be a dog person, but my best friend Savannah, she has a cat. And
then it's converted you?
Yeah, a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That means we have a divide now. Because I'm a dog person now. There's this whole like, if you're a dog person, cat person. So, but anyway, we're still cool, right?
Yeah.
We're still cool, right?
I mean, I guess. We can be friends or whatever.
Oh, goddamn. All right, Connie, let's get into the big three questions. These are questions that I feel could highly impact the viewers and leave them just some messages that you wanted to deliver. So the first question I have for you is, if you could sit down with a younger version of yourself, what piece of advice would you give to them?
You're enough. Yeah. I don't know if that's advice though.
I mean, that's something that could take that person like far, letting them know, true.
Yeah.
So that's something that you that you don't hear, especially when we grew up younger. Even the phrase of "I am enough," like you just didn't really hear that.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Yeah. I think I could like, because that can be applied to so many other aspects of younger me's life that would probably get them to, I don't know, be better.
Yeah. I mean, also understand that, like, just like the struggles and not feeling adequate it's a lot to deal with.
Yeah.
I mean, offline, I just told you about a whole bunch of things about like why I didn't feel adequate, why I didn't feel like enough in some sort of many different ways. So I feel like if I heard that, I'd be like, oh, everything's gonna be okay. Yeah. Everything's gonna work out.
What's crazy too is like you think things about yourself, but other people, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And you're like, you're right. What am I talking about?
Again, it's that imaginative fear that takes over so poorly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My second question for you is, what does becoming the highest version of yourself mean to you, and how are you doing that today?
Randy, why you gotta hit me with these?
That's my job. The hard questions.
Damn. Okay. The highest version of myself, I think, this feels like a therapy session now. I think definitely to simultaneously be happy with where I am, but also strive for more. I think in a way, like I enjoy completing goals. I love like checking off things on my checklist, and I know that I'm not someone who would be satisfied if I don't finish like what I want to do in life, finishing all 3 of my children's books, or getting to have my own like my own shop be like an international thing kind of thing. Stuff like that. So it's like work my way there, but also be appreciative of what I have, and I guess not think too much about what other people think about it.
And that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
To It's a hard thing when we work so hard, we strive to keep going, to do the next thing and the next thing and the next thing after that. But we really have to look at how far we have come.
Yeah.
It's really is about the journey and not the destination. Because after you reach that destination, there's another one that you're going to try to go to and try to go to. And the longest duration in that whole journey, whatever the path is, the longest parts is how you got there, not when you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess the highest version would be finding the perfect balance of both of those things. Yeah.
How do you feel like, or plan to do that, as this year keeps going on?
Probably just being kinder to myself about, like, if I don't finish a project by the time that it's supposed to be, it's like, hey, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up over it. And I think slowly, if I keep reminding myself about that, eventually it'll start sinking in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, being kinder to yourself, giving yourself grace, compassion, also letting yourself take those wins, right? So when you reach your sales goal or whatever it is, treating yourself out, doing doing things that let yourself know that you are appreciative of everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
And my final question to you is, if you could connect me with someone to come on this podcast that you think would be great, who would it be and why?
Igor.
Really? Yeah. Is this for the plot or is this
a little bit of both? I think I had like two answers on the ready for that. But
okay.
The first would be like Igor, just because I think that, well, he has so many stories.
So many crazy stories.
I think he would be a very entertaining guest, but I also think that he's lived so many lives that like he definitely has some knowledge to share. I also really like his storytelling.
Yeah.
Very funny.
He's a good storyteller. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You will be editing a lot though if you have him on as a guest.
That is true.
My second answer would probably be my cousin Stephanie, who obviously. Stephanie is fantastic photographer, great musician, super smart, and I think that she's just so intelligent. She got a lot of things that she has to say. I think it's a bad way of putting it. I don't know.
No. I mean, I personally know those two individuals, and I feel like it would be interesting to hear their stories. I mean, I'm really close to Igor, and I've heard one too many stories, but it has shaped him, to be who he is today. And
right.
His whole philosophy is life is too short, and that, why save up when, you could be doing these experiences. Granted, there's a fault in that. But we'll have him on so that he can explain that himself.
Yeah, exactly.
So before we sign off here, anything that you want to plug in regards to your shop, where we can find you on Etsy, on your socials, any markets that you're going to be doing?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so my main page would be my Instagram page, which is Connie OMG _. My Etsy store is just Connie OMG.
I'll put down all of Connie's socials down in the description. Put down her Etsy shop. Please go support. You guys really seriously have to check it out. And possibly a collab might be happening soon. So thank you guys so much for listening and listening to this episode. Thank you to Connie for all her stories and just a lot of inspiration that I could give out to creators and whatever path you're on. I feel like if you can make it happen, being an opportunist, you can definitely make it happen. So if you like this, if any of this episode resonated with you, please like, share, comment, subscribe, rate this podcast 5 stars, build the community, make it an even greater impact. And as always, guys, let's fall in love with the process of getting better every day and becoming the highest version of ourselves. Love y'all.